Welcome back, everyone. Today we're stepping into a world where the stakes are life and death, where secrets are sold and loyalty can turn lethal. In organized crime, loyalty is everything, or at least that's how it's supposed to be. But when prison walls close in and the only way out is betrayal, some men make a choice that seals their fate as rats. Informants who turn on their own. The 5 most notorious informants who turned rat. Number 1. Joseph the Animal Barboza. Our story begins with one of Boston's most feared enforcers, Joseph Barboza. Known as the Animal, Barboza's reputation was anything but an exaggeration. In the underworld, his name was synonymous with violence, intimidation, and murder. During the 1960s, Barboza worked as a hitman for the New England Mafia, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. 26, to be exact. Barboza was the man the Mafia called when they wanted to make someone disappear, but that loyalty would soon vanish. In 1967, Barboza was arrested and faced with the reality of life behind bars. The Mafia code says you never cooperate with law enforcement, but Barboza had other plans. He saw a way out, even if it meant betraying everything he once stood for. In exchange for a reduced sentence, Barboza agreed to testify, spilling secrets about the New England crime family. His testimony helped convict several major figures, making him one of the first mob insiders to break omerta, the Mafia's code of silence. Barboza's decision to turn rat rocked the criminal world and marked the start of a new era for organized crime, where the walls between the mob and law enforcement began to crumble. But breaking the code came with a deadly price. Even witness protection couldn't save him. In 1976, nearly a decade after he turned informant, Barboza was gunned down in San Francisco by a hitman. His fate was a brutal reminder that in the underworld, betrayal is rarely forgiven. Number 2, Salvatore Gravano, aka Sammy the Bull. Next, we have Salvatore Gravano, better known as Sammy the Bull, one of the most notorious rats in Mafia history. Gravano was the right-hand man to one of the most infamous mob bosses of all time, John Gotti, the Teflon Don. Gravano was a born enforcer, involved in 19 murders and trusted by Gotti to handle the Gambino crime family's dirty work. Their bond seemed unbreakable, but when the FBI arrested both men in 1990, that bond was tested. Facing life in prison, Gravano made a choice that shocked the entire mob world. He turned on his boss. Gravano testified against Gotti in court, revealing details that led to the conviction of the Teflon Don. Gotti, once untouchable, was sentenced to life in prison, and the power of the Gambino family crumbled. This wasn't just another betrayal, it was an earthquake that shattered Mafia loyalty across New York. But the story doesn't end there. After testifying, Gravano entered witness protection, only to be arrested years later on drug trafficking charges. His life as an informant left him forever marked, and despite his cooperation, Gravano struggled to escape the pull of crime. Number 3. Henry Hill. Third on our list is Henry Hill, the man whose story became famous thanks to the book Wise Guy and the classic film Goodfellas. Hill was an associate of the Lachase family, involved in robberies, drug trafficking, and even one of the largest heists in American history, the Lufthansa heist of 1978. Hill was living the high life, but that lifestyle came with a price. In 1980, facing drug charges and knowing his life was on the line, Hill made a decision that forever labeled him a rat. He agreed to testify against his former associates in the Lachase family. His testimony helped authorities convict multiple mobsters and exposed the brutal reality of life inside organized crime. After entering witness protection, Hill couldn't quite leave his past behind. Over the years, he was kicked out of the program for repeated criminal offenses, showing just how hard it was for him to break free from the mob's influence. Despite the consequences, Henry Hill's testimony gave the public a rare glimpse into the Mafia, cementing his place in history as one of the most infamous informants. Number 4. Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas was Harlem's heroin kingpin in the 1970s. His empire spanned continents, bringing heroin from Southeast Asia directly to American streets, flooding neighborhoods with his deadly product. Lucas amassed millions, evading the law until his arrest in 1975. When he was finally caught, he was offered a choice: spend life in prison or turn on his own associates. Lucas chose the latter, leading to the arrest of over 100 people, including some of the corrupt police officers who had protected him. By betraying his criminal allies and the corrupt cops he'd bribed, Lucas's decision sent shockwaves through both the criminal underworld and law enforcement. It was a move that not only dismantled his empire, but showed just how intertwined crime and corruption had become. Number 5. James Whitey Bulger. Our final informant is James Whitey Bulger, a notorious Boston crime boss who ruled his city with fear and an unexpected ally. Despite his reputation as one of the most ruthless gangsters, Bulger was working with the FBI, feeding them information on rival gangs while they turned a blind eye to his activities. This relationship allowed Bulger to operate freely, protected by law enforcement. But when the truth about his informant status came out, it sparked one of the biggest corruption scandals in the FBI's history. After learning he was about to be indicted, Bulger disappeared, evading capture for 16 years. When he was finally arrested in 2011, the details of his double life as both crime lord and informant left a dark stain on the FBI's legacy. Whitey Bulger's story is a complex web of deception, corruption, and betrayal, where even law enforcement wasn't immune to compromise. So, what can we learn from these notorious informants? In the shadowy world of organized crime, survival often trumps loyalty, and the decision to betray comes at a steep price. From Boston to New York, each of these men's choices forever altered the course of criminal history, proving that the line between loyalty and betrayal can sometimes be razor thin.